Good morning, everyone. And Mr. Kumar, thank you for the excellent words on entrepreneurship. And I think I'll start from where Mr. Kumar ended, that the future is bright for entrepreneurship. I think the time has come for entrepreneurs in India, which Ritu mentioned briefly that in the year 2000 and earlier than that, I belong to the old generation. I started my career in 1976 after getting out of FMS. None of us at that time thought that entrepreneurship is an option. We all looked for stable jobs, and we had actually hardly heard about entrepreneurship at that point of time. We had only heard of big family houses, right? And that's where we wanted to go for secure jobs. And there was a reason for that. Let me put it that it's not that we lacked the spirit or we lacked the ability to take risks. I think there was a social compulsion in those days. If you know that the generation in that time, which we were, and Mr. Kumar and all, we got sandwiched between the responsibilities of our parents and then the responsibilities towards our own children. So we had dual roles. We had to look after our parents because there was no social network or safety net at all present in those days for taking care of parents, which I think socially was very important. So we all looked for stable, long-term jobs where we could fulfill our social obligations towards our children and towards our parents. The things have changed dramatically since then. The social fabric has changed. There is a social or a safety net for the aging parents of the current generation, and more kids are making their own decisions. We never made our own decisions. We were told what to do, and we did accordingly, right? So I think the social fabric has changed, and I think it's very important that for an entrepreneurial environment to survive and to succeed, the social environment has to be enabling, which in the West is, and that's why you see lots of innovations and a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of startups which take place in those countries. If you look at Israel, for example, right? Israel was born out of turmoil, right, in the sense, and the entire Israeli population is equivalent to the IT professionals you have in this country. So you have about 4.5, 6 million, or I don't know how many IT professionals, but close to 6 million code writers and software professionals in this country, and that's the entire population of Israel. Israel does about 800 odd startups annually, whereas India is struggling around 150 to 200. There are lots of venture capital, as I represent the private equity and venture capital industry in this country, and I've been the president of IVCS, so I can say that there's a lot of capital chasing very little few ideas. There's no lack of capital. In our days, when we started our lives, there was no capital available. Today, you raise your hand, and if you have a bright idea, you have the fire under your belly, and you want to scale up, there will be capital chasing you rather than you chasing capital. I think what's important is that is entrepreneurship going to survive in this country? I think yes, right? One of the themes of this seminar was that how the government can support entrepreneurship. I think if entrepreneurs start looking up to the government to support them, then they're not entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are those who survive on their own under all circumstances, and that's what entrepreneurship is. We have learned it the hard way in the private equity and venture capital industry. We formed this lobby organization called IVCS. We thought that we'll go to the government and ask for SOPs. The moment you went to the government, you educate them and they stifle you, right? So lesser you educate the government, the better it is about entrepreneurship. Be on your own, drive your own ship, and you'll succeed. The government follows, right? The software industry started despite the government. They never went to the government for help. NASSCOM was formed way after the industry had taken off. So I think the art of an entrepreneurship is just go out there and do it. And that's what is required. And what is required is that don't chase us. People like us who have capital, right? Don't chase us. You have to chase your idea, you have to chase your dream, and you have to chase how you will go and scale up your own businesses. We will come looking for you. And that's how your business should be run, that where capital seeks you rather than you seeking capital. And that's the most successful ventures. We have seen that where we have gone and looked for entrepreneurs, good teams with good, brilliant ideas, and flexibility is what we all capital providers look for. That you should be able to change midstream. If you look at some of the, Ritu mentioned about two successful ventures like Snapdeal and Flipkart, what did they start off with and what they are today? They're two very different animals. Snapdeal started as a discount, whatever it is, and now it's become a marketplace. So has Flipkart become a marketplace, right? But what is lacking in India, and sometimes when we go around and seeing that what venture capital invests in abroad and what we are investing in India are very dramatically different. I think what Indian entrepreneurs miss out on is the next wave. It's not the next opportunity, what's the next wave? And that's where value creation lies. And that's what India needs. Identification of what's going to come, not what the opportunity is today, but what's going to come 10, 15 years from today. And that's how you create value. So what could be the next wave? We really don't know what could be the next wave, right? But if you just look, right, what could capital be chasing? And capital looks at revenue streams and value creation 7, 10 years down the road. They don't look at value creation today and tomorrow, right? None of these $5 billion companies like Flipkarts and Snapdeals make money. They're still bleeding at the bottom. But they continue to attract capital and they continue to grow in terms of valuations. And they still don't make even 1 rupee. They're bleeding. So why are venture capital people chasing such people? Because they see that 10, 15 years down the road, they'll be the most valuable companies in this country. So your dream or your venture should not think what you're going to do in the next 2 or 3 years, but what you think you would be 10 to 15 years from today. So think long term, but act in the short term. And that's where capital would always seek a long-term vision with an execution plan in the short term. And that's very important. I think the next wave, right, if you see me I'm just taking an example, the next wave in India that globally, right, is everyone is talking about applications on mobile, internet, technology, how it can change our lives. But very few people are emphasizing or looking at, and especially the entrepreneurs who are in this room, that the next wave could be machine to machine. Machines talk to us, we talk to machines. But the next wave is that how machines will talk to each other, how machines will drive each other. How will your mobile start a car before you even get to where your car is parked? How the car would tell you while you're driving, right, which route to take, where the traffic is less. When the car will tell you that when you pass a supermarket, that remember that your wife told you to buy a dozen eggs. And the next supermarket is 2 kilometers away on your left, right? That is when the machines will start talking to machines is the next wave. If you look at, there are 10 times more machines than human beings already. So when you think in the future, that what could the future be, right, that's where you will make wealth. What drove us in the 1970s and the early 2000s was fear. And that's why we look for security in our jobs. What I encourage you, all of you, although it's a bad word, right, that what should drive you is greed. All of you should, right, have the ambition that you should be able to buy that Mercedes which is parked in the lobby. Right? And I must congratulate Ritu Mare and to get that Mercedes here, because that should be the target for each one of you here. That one day I should be able to buy that Mercedes-Benz which is out there in the lobby showcasing itself. Now, why is Mercedes there? Mercedes is there because they believe that you people in this room is the market of the future for them. So, if you look at large corporations, they identify their customer base well way ahead of time. They know that you don't have the ability to write a check for a Mercedes today, but they also know that you would have the ability to write a check for the Mercedes maybe 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road. So they're investing in you. So you should, at the same time, as entrepreneurs, should have the ability to identify who your customer base is. Whom are you trying to address? That's extremely important. And India is a very easy market, if you ask me. India has lots of pain points. And if you're able to pick one pain point, that's an opportunity. India is a unique market in terms of 15 years or 20 years ago, that how people innovated. When Calcutta had outages of 14, 15, 20 hours of no power, the industry came into being. The inverters were innovated in Calcutta. The inverter is born out of a pain point, of addressing a pain point in India of having power outages. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry today. So if you look at the very successful entrepreneurs, each of these inverter companies run into millions of dollars. So there's a huge number of pain points in this country. Healthcare is a pain point. Can you reach, as the minister said, can you reach the socially backward, right? How can you address those pain points for India? So India is an easy country, an easy environment for identifying opportunities. So don't look for fancy opportunities. Look for what is your pain point. And you will have an opportunity in India. And that's me, as in my personal capacity, I invest behind people like you, right? I look at your idea, and one question I ask, is it addressing or is it resolving a pain point of the Indian customer? If you're able to convince me, yes, that's the pain point which my parents have lived with, this is the pain point which I live today with, and I don't want my children to live with a similar pain, and that's the reason I want to do this, you'll have the venture capital money following you. So it's very easy. Identifying opportunities and identifying ideas in this country is relatively easy. Find a pain point which has been hurting you, which has been hurting your family, which has been hurting your community, and you'll have an idea. So where was this idea of the massive internet economy come up? It was like people like us, people like in this room who have small businesses, but don't have the ability or the wherewithal to market those products which you make. So there was a pain point of the SME industry in this country, that how do you can manufacture, like Mr. Kumar's organization supports manufacturing, right? You can have a huge manufacturing base. Capital will come, the 10,000 crores announced by the government as a venture capital fund or whatever fund they would finally take shape as, would flow into SMEs and manufacturing. But how do you sell? India is one of the most expensive places to market goods. It extremely poor logistical infrastructure and very expensive media. So how do you sell? Right? And that was the pain point which was addressed by people like the Flipkarts and the Snapdeals and the others. So they addressed that pain point, brought the SMEs onto a platform where you can sell. So you can buy anything under the sky on these platforms. So they addressed a certain pain point, succeeded, right? Because if you're addressing a pain point, you have a market which already exists. You don't have to create and invest behind creating a market, which is not a challenge. If you are addressing a pain point, the market exists, so you don't spend money in creating a market. But if you have a brilliant idea where the market doesn't exist, India is a tough place. So you have to identify a base of your users or your customers who already exist, who will pay for what you are going to deliver. I think it's extremely critical, as someone asked me in the morning, that what do Indian entrepreneurs lack, right? It's difficult to identify what Indian entrepreneurs lack. I think one of the things which they lack is their ability or their will to sustain themselves over a longer period. So don't give up. It's going to be hard. The life is hard, right? If you compare, if your MBA and your batchmates are in Bank of America or in Merrill Lynch, they earn $1 million bonuses. But if you're still struggling, right, you should have satisfaction and certain. Set your own parameters of what satisfies you. Right? When I go to the campus, when I ask them, do you want to be an employee or you want to be an employer? Right? Guess if even 10% of the MBA graduates graduating from the premier institutes decide to be entrepreneurs like you, right? And each one of them, over the period of next 5 years, generates 50 jobs. How many jobs can be created? But if he looks for his own, that I want a job, right? Is creating problems, not only for themselves, but creating problems for society at large. Because it adds to that 1.5 million, you said, 1.5 crore people. So you want to be part of the 1.5 crore people jobless, struggling to find good jobs? Or you want to be one person who will probably help those 1.5 crores find jobs in your organizations? So I urge all of you to be employers. Don't seek to be an employee. It's easy to be an employee. It's very easy. And there are more frustrations if you're an employee. I can tell you that there are more frustrations in corporate life. I've done it for 30 years, right? And I'm one of the rare species who have done well to be here, to be talking to you, right? 99% of my classmates, right? You only find them on Facebook. So it's an easier world out there, right? What you guys are trying. So it may look good that when you work, you get a salary check every month, right? But you keep worrying that how long will the salary check come. Whereas if you're an entrepreneur, you know that I may be earning 100 rupees today, right? But I could be earning 1 crore. And it's not only that you will be earning 1 crore, you will be helping 10 others earn 1 lakh rupees a month. That's important. So my belief is that entrepreneurship is the future of this country, right? If we do not have a environment which is conducive to encouraging entrepreneurship, I don't think so that India can grow. The dream which this Modi government has of growing at 6 to 7% GDP cannot grow without the help of people in this room. So I think you're extremely important to society at large. You're extremely important for the political system to stabilize and to grow in this country, and for we, as India, to grow. Thank you very much, and I think best of luck to all of you. Right? Go out there, fulfill your dreams, work hard, right? And you will get it. And we'll come looking for you. Don't come looking for us. Right? Okay, thanks a lot. Thank you very much.